Joining us right now for our regular Tuesday visit, Larry Kudlow from CNBC. Larry Kudlow, you have seen this show before. Here we have another government shutdown, this one because a continuing resolution can't get past the Senate if it has anything attached to it that might limit the Obamacare law. Of course, perception has a lot to do with this, how the American people see this and who they think is the side of the equation that's being most intransigent. Yesterday, the president said this on NPR.
When you say, what can I offer, I shouldn't have to offer anything. They're not doing me a favor by paying for things that they have already approved for the government.
So given that, Larry Kudlow, messaging-wise, is that really the message the president wants out there? I shouldn't have to offer anything?
Yeah, I think one of the big sub-themes here is the fact that Obama just took a walk on the whole process. I mean, he's the chief executive, and why he's not in there with his sleeves rolled up trying to work out a deal is beyond me. It's just beyond me.
Well, and it's also in the shadow of him making news over the last couple of weeks saying that he'll talk with Syria, he'll talk with Russia, he'll talk with Iran.
Yeah, he'll talk with anybody, but I guess Republican lawmakers. That's very interesting. I think that's going to hurt him politically. I mean, I think it's hard to know here, right, because this thing's just beginning. Polls show that Republicans are blamed, but only slightly more than Democrats. I mean, it's not that big a deal so far.
Certainly not like 96.
Yeah, not
or
like
95.
96. And I think the president's own standing, which has been falling, will probably continue to fall because of his lack of participation. And yeah, he'd rather talk to Iran than John Boehner. So politically, it's going to be kind of a standoff. I think fiscally, a deal is going to be made, all right? I think the GOP probably sees, they submitted Plan A, they submitted Plan B, they submitted Plan C, and Harry Reid keeps sending them back. So at some point you got to sort of, even the University of Alabama punts once in a while. And I think that the Republicans are going to have to punt and just accept the fact that they're not going to get their Obamacare reforms in, at least this continuing resolution. And then we can resolve this. And then you got to move on. You've got two big events coming up really quickly. One is the debt ceiling, and the second is the budget for 2014. So that's going to happen. Right now, it's all in limbo. We'll see how it plays out.
Well,
there's no I want to really emphasize, there's no financial catastrophe here. There's no economic catastrophe here. In my opinion, so far, virtually no economic impact whatsoever. I know stocks fell yesterday. They're up in the futures market today, and the Asian stocks were up today. So I just don't see anything particularly hazardous. And I also think, look around, 60% of the workforce will continue to work. I know there'll be furloughs. I get that. I also get the fact that they'll be paid when those things are settled, when this deal is settled. National security continues to operate. The military continues to operate. Entitlements and other big benefit programs will continue to operate. And I think Americans will survive this quite nicely. That's my basic take.
All right. But looking, there's going to be hopefully a conference today. I mean, the speaker has asked Harry Reid to come to conference because obviously you can keep sending bills back and forth, but you're not getting anywhere there. So he asked everybody to sit down at the table and have a conversation.
But didn't Reid say no last night?
Well, he said no, but I think there is some talk that it might actually be some form of conference.
Oh, good.
They might come together so they can say no again, but, who knows. But as you look into your crystal ball, you say everything's in flux. How do you see the way out of this thing?
Well, it's going to have to make a deal. That's all. They're going to have to agree. If the Democratic Party has its 54-46 majority. And by the way, I was very disappointed in the vote last night. Particularly Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, conservative Democrat, who was a friend of mine, and I think he's a really good man. But as I tweeted last night, I thought he was going to vote in favor of a delay in the individual mandate. He said he was, and he didn't. And the other four red state senators, Pryor and Mary Landrieu and Begich and somebody else I'm forgetting, I thought that they would have a tougher time. But the Democrats have good discipline. So if that discipline continues, then you're at loggerheads, and the
Well-
GOP is going to have to go back, and start a new plan. And
Well, and technically, I mean, this is the sort of the inside baseball stuff, but the way Harry Reid set it up last night, Manchin and those red state senators, they can go back and say, well, I never got the opportunity to vote on the delay of Obamacare for 1 year because Harry Reid tabled it. All we did was vote on it was a procedural thing on tabling it. This is their cover.
Yeah, but they could have cast, if they had cast nay votes, then the procedural thing wouldn't have passed.
Right. Well, I hear you, but that's what their argument's going to be.
That became the vote. Well, I don't think that's a good argument. I mean, I'm just surprised. Maybe we'll learn what the backstory is on this sometime today, but I do think he holds some accountability. Look, so the next step here, this thing slowly merges into the debt ceiling, which, in my opinion, is more important than the shutdown, because I'm assuming the shutdown is only going to be a few days or a week at most. And the health care stuff, the Obamacare stuff, is going to have to be taken out for the moment, and the CR will just go through. And it's no big deal. So there you have it. I mean, at the moment, I can't get that, except people should not panic. They should not start selling every stock they own. They should not buy canned food and head for the hills. I just don't think it's, at the moment, it's more of a political issue than it is a financial issue or an economic issue. That's my basic point right now. And I think the president will do himself a lot of harm if he continues to remove himself from this process, because I think Americans don't want that. And I think the polls are starting to show that. So,
all right.
We'll see.
Thank you. Larry Kudlow, host of the Kudlow
Always
Report.
a pleasure.
On CNBC.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
And, of course, the Larry Kudlow Show right here on WMAL Saturdays.